Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Carver Conservation Commission meeting of Wednesday, June 4th, 2025. This meeting is being cablecast by Area 58 Community Access Media, Channel 15, and will be posted by Area 58 on YouTube as soon as possible. Got a relatively short agenda this evening. We'll get right into it. We have 3 items under discussions and business. First up is forest cutting plan, AD Makepeace on Bunnies Road.
I think you keep turning that one off and on. That one's not doing it. Oh, there it goes.
That is a big TV.
So I received a copy of this. It's a forestry cutting plan. Essentially, these this property is the Swan Holt property.
He can't. She can't. He's gonna talk loud. That fan.
This is Ben.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So it's a Swan Holt property owned by AD Makepeace, and they are proposing to cut certain part of the property that is, it's completely forested, and this is out behind the solar array, the ground-mounted dual-use solar array. So, the commission has the opportunity to review these plans, but it's ultimately the decision is made by the DCR, Department of Conservation and Recreation, to issue like a permit for it. But I just wanted to let you guys know that we received this, and this is a copy of the plan.
You didn't send this to us, right?
I don't think so.
don't
No,
know.
I didn't.
So-
I didn't get a copy of it.
So my only question would be,
It's a battle.
are cutting down the trees going to affect anyone else's view from their house or anything? I know it's,
So this is not near anyone's house. If this will pull up, I can kind of show you where this is. But it's off of Bunnies Road behind the solar array. Yeah, let me just try and figure this thing out real quick. Sorry.
I know where this is. Okay. So do we need to do anything or no on this?
No, I think it's just an opportunity. If you guys have any comments that I can forward to the DCR forester,
be hot.
I'd be happy to do that. But again, it's really their decision. We can review these things. Typically I'll go out and take a look. The foresters, they mark, where the landing is for the forestry landing, as well as, the entryway where they're going to cut in the access road. And then they typically mark all the trees that that they're going to cut. At this particular place, they're going to be harvesting, I think it's 62,000 board feet of white pine. So it's all going to be white pine. It's like a mature white pine stand, and they're going to be harvesting it. But they're harvesting it for like long-term forest management. It's not like a clear cut where they're clear cutting the area. They're doing selective cutting, which is a positive thing for the forest, the health of the forest and the ecosystem. So it's like there's 2 kinds of forest cutting plans. There's a long-term management cutting plan, and then there's short-term management, which typically is more like, the clear cut and kind of start everything kind of from scratch. But this is a long-term forest cutting plan. So yeah, if you guys have any questions or if you have any comments, I'm not sure why this isn't pulling up on the screen, but I probably should be able to figure it out here in a few minutes.
Have they sent any plans of where this is? How much?
Yeah, that is the
That's-
This is
plan.
the whole thing right here.
Yep.
So are they like
And
intentionally?
it's kind of hard to tell on that plan like how big this area is, but it's quite a large area.
And they're just doing it to manage the forest. They're not clear cutting or anything.
Yeah, well, it's obviously it's forestry, so they're cutting the logs for for lumber. So it'll be it's white pine.
Right.
So there will be forest products being made from this. It's not just for forest management. It's also for obviously selling the wood products.
But are they avoiding the pitch pine, let's say? They're just taking white pine?
What it says in that on the beginning page, there's an application form that says exactly what type of trees, and everything on there that's listed is white pine. They're not listing any other
So that-
species.
Could be good. I mean, they're doing that in the forest
In the state forest.
in the state forest
Right,
for
yeah.
maintaining pine barrens to get rid of.
Right.
A lot of people don't agree with it, but it's to help restore the pine barrens, the pitch pine,
White ash.
or white ash.
No, that's not part of it. I know it looks like it's listed, but if you look at the total MBF, which is like 1,000 board feet, it's equal to the amount of white pine. So
Okay. Oh, I see. Oh, I see it.
yeah.
Oh, it's 2 columns adding up to 1. It's not, all right, I see. They don't have any indication on the page about wetlands.
So the wetlands are shown on the plan at the end. It's not like a plan that we would typically see, but you can see like there's small
Yeah.
areas, and then there's buffer strips around those areas. So for forest harvesting, in agricultural forest harvesting, forestry is allowed to be done in wetlands in certain cases. I don't think that's the case for this. Otherwise, they would had to state that, but they will be cutting, in the buffer zone, and that's why
Okay.
the commission has the opportunity to review it. And I've been out there. I walked the site. I took a look at for the most part, what I could see, and it seemed reasonable to me. But yeah, it's a kind of a very mature wooded part of the property, so it kind of makes sense. They're at that stage where they're ready to make the profit off the investment over time. But it is a significant area. I'm not sure how much of this total area is actually going to be logged, but they've listed, a significant area. I think it's probably around 100 acres, or maybe, was it 40 acres?
So DCR has a final approval on this. We don't really have to vote on this or anything like that. Right?
47 acres. Yes, you don't have to vote on it, but if you have any comments, I didn't really have any specific concerns, but again, this is your opportunity to review it, and just so you guys are aware that it's happening, and it will be affecting, wetlands, buffer zones. So
Okay. Anybody want to take this any further, or are we good?
No, I'm fine with it.
Good.
I'm fine.
All right, we don't need to take a vote?
Nope.
Okay. Then we're fine with it. Okay, thank you. Next up, Buckman Park, playground mulch revised quote.
Okay, so last November we had discussed this. This is the playground that is under Conservation Commission management. And at the time we had voted to approve funding for playground mulch for the 3 play areas on the property. And since then, because it was in November, we decided to hold off on actually, bringing in the mulch because it was winter time. So since then, the quote has expired, and we went back to get the quote again renewed, and price has increased. So I wanted to
Spring
come
rate.
back
Go figure.
to you guys. Well, yeah, I'm not sure what played into that. The factors of that. There's probably a lot of things, but the quote is now $3,030, up from $2,746. So it increased by $284 total. Again, I think we're getting like 62 yards of mulch, so it's a significant amount of mulch. And I just wanted to come back to you guys and see if you guys would approve that additional $284 for getting that. It's going to be delivered as well, so that includes delivery. And then the DPW has said that they'll work with me to actually install it. So that's a benefit. But
All right. Okay, any questions?
No, I
right,
thought
all
it was already done, to be honest with you, until I heard it was coming back and
All right,
forth.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the additional expenditure for,
So moved.
second?
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve the additional $284
yes.
For the mulch for Buckman Park. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. That's approved unanimously. Next up is 2025 Town Policy Acknowledgements.
So the town, every year, they require employees as well as board members to sign all of these acknowledgements, which include, like civil conduct code and discriminatory harassment and cell phone usage and records retention, kind of a whole bunch of different just blanket acknowledgement agreements for you guys to sign. So I think maybe we can hold this off to the end. And if any of you guys need copies of the
All right,
signature
I will.
pages, I can.
I will need them. I think,
I need to do it too. So at the end of the meeting.
Carl's, have you done yours?
I did, yeah.
All right,
Yeah, I gave it to him.
2 gold stars. Okay, you and I.
Yeah. I don't know.
Okay, all right, so let's get to our new public hearings. 130 North Main Street, NOI DEP file SE 126-696, the abbreviated Notice of Resource Area Delineation, the ANRAD. Notice is hereby given in accordance with the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, MGL Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Carver Wetlands Protection Bylaw, that a public hearing will be held at 7:00 p.m. on Wednesday, June 4th, 2025, in Meeting Room Number 1 at the Carver Town Hall to hear the abbreviated Notice of Resource Area Delineation submitted by Constantine Paganis, International Golf Construction, who is requesting under the ANRAD confirmation of buffer zone, bordering vegetated wetland, riverfront area, inland bank and land under water bodies, and waterways on the property. This project is located at 130 North Main Street, Carver, Massachusetts, Assessor's Map 25, Lot 1. All interested parties are invited to attend. All right, do we have someone? Hi, come on up. Do we have a sign-in sheet?
You wouldn't mind just signing in and giving your contact information?
Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Connor Gilbertson. I'm a wetland scientist for BSC Group. I'm representing Constantine Paganis for this property.
Okay. Do we have the plans, Emil?
Yes.
You still trying to get it up on the screen?
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure that out. Thought I had it figured out last time, but apparently not.
Thank you. All right, four of us were out there today, did a site walk this morning, and tiptoeing through the poison ivy.
Gee, really?
There's a lot of poison ivy. A lot. We noticed two sets of flags. Was there a set of flagging there already? There seemed to be orange and blue flags.
Yeah, we reviewed a previous delineation from 2019. So the blue flagging was a professional scientist who did the delineation in 2019.
Okay.
We reviewed our company BSC Group reviewed the delineation in late November 2024, and we had the pink wetland flagging on the site.
Okay,
Yeah, and our flag numbers do match theirs.
okay. All right, that's kind of what we thought.
I remember that when we did the walk across the street.
Yes.
Remember that, seeing that last year.
Yes, yeah, they were all tied in with Montello Street and,
Yeah.
and the rerouting of Montello and all that stuff. All right, is there anything that you want to make us aware of?
No, we just we relocated some of those blue flags. Our flags differed due to the presence of hydric soils. We took a soil sample at everything, so some of their flags were hung on sweet pepper bush, which is a facultative species, but we relocated based on the presence of all of the soils and redox in the soils. And the previous delineation also seemed to tie in the ATV trail, and we did not tie that into the delineation based on lack of hydric soils and lack of vegetation. But there were definitely like puddles when we visited the site during the winter. So
Okay.
yeah.
All right. We basically walked the perimeter of the buffer. We really didn't get too far into where the wetland flags were. Well, actually, we did see some wetlands flags, but we didn't. We got about as far as the big field of ferns, and everything seemed to be okay as far as we were concerned. Does anybody have any questions?
So we did see that vernal pool. Do you know if that's certified by the state yet?
It was certified
It was
in
certified.
2019,
Okay.
and we
And you
yeah,
marked
we kept it
yeah.
as is.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Okay.
It's a blue. What color is it?
Red,
No, this.
blue.
So what's the blue line? It said flood zone A and zone X. What is that? What are you showing there? Do you want to?
200 foot
Finds that?
riverfront.
I don't know. Yeah, I'll bring it out. Here. Actually, you can have. I have another copy right here. I'm just curious what it was.
Maybe the 200
I'm
foot
with you.
riverfront?
Oh, is that what that is? Oh, okay. Yeah, you can have it. Okay.
Oh, flood zone.
What's that?
Maybe the flood zone?
Oh, he was just saying it might be the FEMA flood zones or something.
I think
That's
so.
all from Mass GIS. I'm just thinking,
Yeah, I believe that's from the flood. So you're talking about the blue line?
It's blue, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it kind of matches the same line for the,
Flood zone.
Yep, that is the flood zone from the river. So there's a river on the site,
Yeah,
okay, so-
on the west side of the site,
Okay.
and typically, like river has a flood zone associated with it. If it's like a decent sized river. So yeah, that line it's showing a difference between a zone A and a zone X. So the zone A is the more the area more prone to flooding.
Okay.
I'm not sure what the zone X is, but it's probably like more like a really high like rainfall would create something like additional flooding in
I
that
get you.
area.
Okay. I was just curious. I saw it on there. I was wondering what the heck it was. So.
okay, actually, I think that is purple.
It's purple?
I think so.
It's a little different shade.
I'm colorblind, so I
And,
would know.
yeah,
You could tell me
and,
it's red.
and the wetlands, the wetlands delineation is blue.
Okay.
Where they touch, you can see that they're different colors.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
that's true.
Very
right.
slightly.
There's not
but
much
they're
of a difference, but
No.
there is a difference.
Okay.
So if this was
I
already
get it.
delineated in 2019, was it not accepted or did it not come in front of the commission?
I think it may have expired. Is that why they did it again? Why?
I don't think this came in front of the commission.
What was the
I wasn't aware of
What was the
any.
previous delineation for? Was it just?
They may have just been out there to flag it, but
Yeah,
I don't think
I
they
don't believe
submitted.
this ever came
Okay.
across. It was
Oh,
just-
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
That
they
was
can go
about
out
the
there
time
and
that
flag
Montello
it.
Street was done. The new Montello Street and,
Did they just flag everything in that area at that time?
well, if you notice that where new Montello Street comes in, where the
Right.
street light is.
Right.
On this side of Route 58, there's a curb cut.
Okay, yeah. All right.
So they may have just
I didn't know if
looked at
we
what
were,
was here for the future.
I didn't know if we were superseding a previous
No.
delineation
No.
or.
I remember looking at it and talking about it, but I don't remember voting on it.
It predates me on the commission, that's all.
Right. Okay. Any other questions? Anybody?
No.
It's a public hearing. Does anybody out in the audience have any comments or questions? No? All right. So we need to approve the
Okay,
ANRAD.
close the meeting.
I will, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing for SC 126696.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to close the meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Or hi.
Say huh?
Any opposed? Hearing none, it's approved unanimously. Now we'll vote on the ANRAD. I'll entertain a motion to accept to approve the ANRAD as per the plan submitted and dated 4/29. The plan is dated 4/29/25.
Dan said so moved. I'll second it.
Okay, all right. It's been moved and seconded to approve the plan and the ANRAD. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. Okay, we're all set. Like to have, we're going to get a copy of the plan, one copy of the plan signed by the,
If you'd like,
yeah. I think we should do that. I think we
yeah, I
should have-
can't say that I've really been doing that, but it's kind of a matter of public record. Like once these plans are approved, that's the plan. It's also included, like the date of the plan is included in the permit. But if you like, I can have them.
I would like it sort of as a double check
Okay.
to have a signature of the presenter or the applicant on the plan.
Yeah, you can go ahead and.
Okay, so you're all set. Great. Okay, next up.
Would you just like me to sign this, from the plan?
Thank you. All right, next up, Indian Street, Lot 1. We don't have a DEP number yet, and this is a notice of intent. Notice is hereby given in accordance with the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, MGL, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Carver Wetlands Protection Bylaw, Citation 9.2, that a public hearing will be held at 7:00 PM on Wednesday, June 4th, 2025, in Meeting Room Number 1 at the Carver Town Hall to hear the notice of intent submitted by White Pines Realty Trust to build a new single-family dwelling with septic system, well, water line, driveway, and associated grading within the 100-foot buffer zone to a bordering vegetated wetland, cranberry bog. This project is located at Lot 1 Indian Street, Carver, Massachusetts. Assessors Map 92, Lot 1. All interested parties are invited to attend.
There's an easel over there if he needs. Do you need that easel over there?
Yeah.
If you don't, I mean. You don't-
Yeah, we'll put it. Here's the state plans.
Yeah. Oh. Maybe that one's easier, I don't know.
Whichever.
Yeah, whatever.
Whichever one works for you.
Yes. Sorry. We thought we'd make it up on the screen, but it's not happening today, it's not even a thing. No problem.
Okay.
Extras. Let's go back. It's okay, it can be crooked for us, we got him here anyway, so.
All right. So, my name is Rob Carlazon from Grady Consulting. This is the site plan. It's associated with the notice of intent for Lot 1 Indian Street. So we're here tonight to talk about a proposed single-family dwelling. Just a little bit about the lot. You may or may not already be familiar. We just did a A&R plan to subdivide this lot into 3 lots. Lots 1, 2, and 3. Lot 3, shown on this plan, you can see the blue outline. That's an existing cranberry bog. Lot 1 is kind of an L-shaped lot, shown on the plan, like that. We have several resource areas that are kind of nearby or on the property. We have a cranberry bog off to the west on the abutting lot. We have the cranberry bog that's on lot 3 that we just mentioned. There is another wetland across the street, but the buffer zone actually doesn't reach this particular lot. So the existing lot right now, it's mostly unvegetated and cleared. There is a existing silt sock that's shown in kind of a dark gray line, kind of going around the lot. It kind of acts, I'm not sure who put it there or why it's there, but it's there. It kind of acts almost as like a limit of clearing existing. So as far as what we're proposing to build a single-family dwelling. A driveway, obviously off of Indian Street, shown on the plan there. And then a proposed well, as well as a proposed septic system. The proposed well is shown in sort of closer to Indian Street, and we have a proposed septic system off kind of on the north side of the property. So the proposed septic system, all components are proposed outside of the 100-foot setback to the bog / wetland. The well is proposed approximately 79 feet from the existing bog. So the big question, or the big thing we're asking for, and it's a big ask, we're asking for a local variance request for placing a house closer, 71 feet from a bog, which the local requirement is 100 feet. When we surveyed this lot, it wasn't quite what we expected, and there's a very small building envelope that is outside of the 100-foot setback to the bog, and meeting the zoning property line setbacks. So the area to put a proposed house is very small, as is, kind of a triangular, odd-shaped piece. But within that small area, we discovered that the slope within that area is extremely steep. And I would say not suitable to place a single-family dwelling or any sort of structure. As of right now, it's unvegetated, it's unstable, so to place a house in that small area, we kind of looked at how it would work, and we would have to bring in a ton of fill. And when I say a ton, I just mean a lot.
Not way too
Yeah,
We saw it.
just to clarify, yeah, a lot of fill. And we felt that the way we have this configured would be the best, or the most feasible way to build a house on this lot. This way, this was the, I guess this minimized the amount of fill we would have to bring in. And that's kind of the story on that. So I know it's a big ask, but that's kind of what we're here for, so. So I don't know if you guys have questions or comments.
Okay, well, Ann and Dave and Emil and I went out for a site visit today. We've been here before. And, you know, you do have quite a slope there. What I want to start with is that if you're familiar with the meetings that we've had with other people who try to do things like this, and even other buildings on the other side of Indian Street heading towards Main Street, we try to keep the footprint of any kind of a dwelling to be no more than 20% within the 100 feet, and you're close to 80% here. And I understand that there's a steep slope there. But you also do have space within the building envelope to shift that building to the west-northwest, to move it out of the 100 foot a little bit more. You also, I think, have the opportunity of rotating it counterclockwise 90 degrees, and also moving it back so that less of the dwelling is within the 100 foot. And I understand that the grading could be problematic. But we try to be consistent with what we do, and we have been on other homes in Carver recently. And as you may be aware, at Carver Town Meeting this past April, the town voted to make our 100-foot buffer zone even a little bit more stringent. So actually, it's related to the fact that we now include cranberry bogs, regardless of whether they're upland or wetland, as being something to build the 100-foot buffer off. So it's clear that the residents of Carver want to protect the wetlands, and so I think that if there is something that can be done to move that house so that 70 to 80% of it is outside the 100 foot, whether it's just shifting it or rotating it or both. I think that's probably something that we would like to see attempted. And your next lot 2 is a mirror image of this, so it's going to be the same ask. So I think that from a standpoint of what I'm looking at is what I would like to see, and it's consistent with rulings that we have done in the past on similar proposals. So that's kind of what I'm looking at.
Well, it's not only is it 100 feet from wetlands, the bylaw specifically says no residential building should be built within 100 feet of a bog. And that's almost a separate part of a bylaw. Has nothing to do necessarily with the wetlands, but it's just with the bog. And I think the whole idea is because the town's trying to preserve its character. And I would like, and I know it might be possible, but I would like to see the whole thing outside of 100 foot just because of that bylaw. I think it's the wishes of the people, and I think we should keep it that way.
Yeah. I'd agree. So this is kind of a random question, but I mean, we saw that it's an incredibly steep slope. And I noticed you put a retaining wall around the septic, and we are concerned with septics, especially near wetlands. Can you tell me, is a retaining wall there because of the septic?
So the retaining wall, it's part of the minimum grading requirements, so it would be like a Board of Health requirement.
Okay.
We can't have too much cover over the septic system, so we need a minimum cover and a maximum cover.
I see.
So we'd actually be cutting back into the hill to
Gotcha.
have kind of a flatter area for a septic system.
And then for the septic, you obviously have to have certain types of soils and sand and rocks, whatever. So it's going to be hard to do on that with the way it's graded now.
Right, so I guess no matter how you slice it, there is a lot of grading that would have to be done on this.
Right.
Whether we, move over with this, or if we had another concept where we move the building, so it's a lot of grading. Yep.
And there's also a, excuse me, a perennial stream over way to the west here. It's not on your map, but I looked on the air photos we
You
did.
guys provided this.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's no, I don't know what the consequences of that is and where the line would end up.
It's essentially like the center channel of this.
Oh, okay.
And then
Yep.
I think over here, there's another one.
I don't know why this would be higher than this. It's
Gotcha,
all very
okay.
steep.
It's all very steep, so I know.
Yep. So this was provided to us by our wetland scientist on this one, Brad Holmes. So this was just the graphic that was provided. So I was just going off of this as far as,
Right.
yeah, just notes that it's greater than 200 feet from the perennial stream and greater than 200 feet from the perennial
So
stream.
it is 200 feet from the perennial stream?
Correct.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't measure it. Yeah, yeah, I didn't see it. Okay, very good.
Okay,
The next obvious question is, have you gone to zoning to see if you can get relief from the side setbacks?
We have not.
that may be an option. Again, that doesn't really take care of
Well,
the
that-
grading problem.
Doesn't
Also,
take care of your grading problem, but I'm
Yeah.
looking at it as from 100 feet in the air. So.
That soil is really unstable. I mean,
No,
it's not like, if you dig back, it's just gonna cave in, you know, it's not like it's easily remediated, but you'd have to build a big retaining wall back there. So-
Right, and one,
Eh,
go ahead.
No, I'm good.
Just one other thing that, that I noticed on this plan, I don't think it says, it may be on the other plan as well when we get to that, but a good portion of the driveway is within the 100-foot. So this, we would want this to be a pervious surface on the driveway. It could be the, you know, there's pervious blacktop these days. But that, I think that should be indicated on the plan. It just says proposed driveway, and I think that we should have the, you know, memorialize that should be pervious. So is this something you think you can work on for us? I know it's hard, but we've got to answer to what our residents.
Doug Frank, I'm the realtor that's been involved in a
Yes,
lot of these.
please have a seat. Sign if you wouldn't mind. Sign in if you wouldn't mind, please, when you get a chance.
I got up here before you guys. Sorry.
So the couple of things that I'm hearing is protecting heritage and protecting wetlands. The heritage of the town, cranberries, farming, we all love it, you know, let's face it. And protecting wetlands. And I think this particular location, you know, nobody else is within eye shot of it, really. It looks awful to me. I mean, I don't know how it looks to you guys, but it doesn't look wonderful. It's all, the whole thing has already been disturbed. So the disturbing already occurred. I think having a builder come in where you have the authority to define some things, the builder can come in and actually repair it to some degree from what it is now, would only help, you know, wetlands, you know, the bogs. And we have, there's, at the end of Indian Street, not the 58 end, the other end, there's a house within 15 feet of the bog edge there. I don't know if you guys know that particular house. That has not affected the bog whatsoever, hasn't hurt the bog at all in 50 some odd years. And they still live there, and it's a wonderful house for somebody. You know, I don't think in this particular location, a builder coming in, putting houses there, I think it would only help the bogs because it would give sustainability to good example. Bob Goslin built the 3 houses on Route 58 by those bogs. We all know those.
Yep.
So the monies that were made from those lots rebuilt those bogs for the next 50 years, for the next generation. Hybrid seeds, they're all viable for 50 years. So that's actually preserving this heritage that you're trying to do by allowing those houses to go there. You know, you're kind of doing the same thing in any area where, where cranberry bogs and farming are really tough to sustain right now. Boglands used to be worth far more than residential lands, and now it's just the opposite. Cranberry boglands, went down the drain, and residential lands went up. So kind of working together to allow both things to occur in an area, I think only helps. It helps housing. We have this huge housing crunch. So we like to allow it and try to work with it if it's within your jurisdiction to do so. And it is here. You could give a variance or whatever is needed to make it feasible for a builder to come in, clean it up, make it look pretty, give housing, allow bogs to be more sustainable for the farmer. And as I said, I don't think, if there was any wetlands to be hurt here, they were already hurt. The hurt was done. What I think you can do now is allow somebody to kind of clean it up and make it look nice, and it's got a lot of frontage on Indian Street. If I'm a neighbor there, I would prefer to go by and look at nice landscaping, than the eyesore that's there currently. So that's just my take on it. I think you'd help preserve heritage. I don't think anybody's hurting wetlands at this point. That they've already, what's done is done. So if a builder can't feasibly go in there and build, $200,000 worth of retaining walls, they're not gonna, if it's not viable, it's not viable. So what they're asking is you to allow them to make it a viable project. And it's, as it sits in front of you now, it's a barely viable project. To shift things and to have to then put up a much larger retaining wall, or, make the house itself actually more hazardous, because now you're having big drop-offs, whether it be on the driveway, whether it be coming out the door of your house or off the deck, or what have you. So if there was any place I think a variance should be allowed, it's here, because it's bothering nobody. No neighbors, are within eyeshot. We're not hurting the land any more than it was already hurt. I think we'd be helping several things if you allow this to be a viable project to a builder, instead of making it not viable by doing what you just suggested. It's once you start getting into that, it's not a viable project for a builder to do. Hope that helps.
Okay, duly noted. A couple of things that I want to address based on what you said. I know the house you're speaking about at the end of Indian Street, the other end where it hits Rochester Road. If they came to build that house today, it would not be allowed.
No, of course not. It's literally 15 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
The three homes that were built on between Lakeview Street on 58, the bog behind them was an upland bog, not a wetland bog. If that was a wetland bog, those three houses would not be there today. Plain and simple.
And the reason only one of them was built was in our jurisdiction was because the town screwed up and
Yeah.
allowed the permit to get issued. If that
Yes.
permit wasn't issued, that house wouldn't be built.
Well, I just think if the goal here for the town is to protect the heritage of the town and allow cranberry bogs to be sustainable, in that project on Route 58, absolutely allowed those cranberry bogs to be sustainable. The alternative, I don't know what could the farm owner then utilize that land for? If you deny its viability to somebody like Mark to make a decent project there, to give housing, to allow the sustainability in the bogs, can they put up a building for backhoes there for the farm? I don't know what they use the land for at that point, but if I'm a neighbor, if I'm the town, nice frontage land like that, if we can allow it to be housing, which is needed, I would prefer to keep the big industrial type buildings kind of in the middle of the bogs and the big sand pits and the big, you know, that look, I would rather keep away from frontage land.
I mean, so, is that close? So I hear what you're saying, but like part of our concern is, one, I've lived in Carver 35 years and I'm not used to seeing houses backing into bogs. That is against my vision of the town or how it has been. So that's part of my concern. So it's not really maintaining our heritage by putting houses closer and closer to bogs. That's not what I expect to see.
It also, the more and more septic systems we have, the more impact it's going to have on groundwater. I really, and also the people wanted that in the town. They don't want houses right up against bogs.
They don't.
That's why the bylaw is there.
All right.
And so,
Right,
I
I
don't think
think-
it's a viable project.
I think,
be honest with
well, I don't think so either where it is located now.
Yeah.
I don't, the septic system is outside our jurisdiction, so we don't have to, we can't say anything about
Right.
that. The way it is now, we have no say over that.
Yeah.
That's Board of Health and Planning if they need to, but it's really Board of Health.
Agreed.
So we don't have to do that. The Wetlands Protection Act and the Carver the wetlands, Carver wetlands bylaws are not about aesthetics. They're about protecting the water. And the reason that we have a buffer zone is that we do not want impervious surfaces within 100 feet. So because this house has a roof on it, it's an impervious surface. That way the water does not get underneath this. That is why the bylaws are in effect. And we're talking about two bylaws here. We're talking about our general 100-foot bylaw away from any kind of a wetland, and we're also talking about the 100-foot no dwelling away from a cranberry bog specifically.
Correctly, yeah.
So, I understand what you're saying. The viability of the project is not our concern. What our concern is protecting that 100-foot buffer zone. What we're asking you to do is move it so that 80% of the impervious surface is outside the 100-foot zone. So we'd like you to take a look at that and come back, if you could.
And I still don't think it's viable at all. I think it's all should be.
I think that,
We'll
to
vote on it.
be consistent with what we've done with other
Yeah,
places.
but
we've-
also, in fact, that's the other part. The bylaw itself says no residence within 100 feet of bog. It has nothing to do with wetlands. It
Right.
has something to do with bogs. And we're going to preserve the character. That was my impression of that. So that's, I mean.
I agree, yeah.
I mean, I think we'd be going against the wishes of the people of Carver if we did it.
Let me ask you a question, and maybe we need to continue that. You bring up a good point.
Yeah.
Is there an allowance for a variance within the 100 foot of a dwelling there is?
Yes.
Okay, so we
Yes.
can.
So through the Carver Wetlands bylaw, a variance is required to build a house within 100 feet of a cranberry bog. So that is something that the commission has discretion on, whether or not, that's something that is, something that is allowable in certain case-by-case situations. It's up to the commission to make a determination on that. But again, it's something that you would kind of save for a, very specific case where you feel that the situation, would, necessarily benefit from, having a little bit of leeway within your regulations. I think this site specifically is a little bit of a, it's a tough site to work with in terms of the grades, the slopes. When Rob reached out to me about this project, I was like, I think it's gonna be really tough to fit a single family dwelling in these two lots. However, I told them, if you can, do the engineering, you can do the, the work to kind of to see if that's possible, then, that's something that the commission will be able to consider. So, they've done a lot of work on this property to kind of see what is possible. And because, obviously the grades are a big issue especially with that sand there, it's not stable ground to build a foundation in if we, in the current conditions. So I think, this is, again, it's a property that is very constrained by the size of it and the bog being right in the middle of the property. So, this is a decision that, you guys have to consider, and we don't have a SE DP number for these projects yet. So we have to continue this hearing to our next meeting anyways. So that will give you guys some time to look at your possibilities, as well as for the commission to consider, what their, final decision will be on this. But at this point, because we don't have the DEP number, we can't make a vote tonight on these properties. So it is going to have to be continued in any case. So that will give you guys a little bit more time. Take a look at it. If there is any way to, minimize the impacts within the buffer zones, that's going to be a benefit for you guys. But again, I know it's a tough site to work with. So you can only do what you can do in terms of the limits of engineering.
Just kind of a follow-up comment. So we've kind of played around with concepts and ideas with this. We've kind of gone round and round. When we did have the house footprint within the building envelope and outside the 100-foot setback to the bog, we were looking at like a foundation wall of almost 15 feet from top foundation down to a basement slab. So for a builder, not very feasible. And even from an engineering perspective, that's not sound, in my opinion. So that's just kind of to give you an idea of what we did look at it, kind of.
Right. We totally get that it's not,
Yeah.
that's not an easy one, it wouldn't be in
how-
front of us.
How far back was that? Did you push it all the way back to the property line? I mean, to the building envelope when you did that?
Yeah, we were within, a couple of feet of the side property line and a couple of feet of the rear property line. And I think we had it turned.
Yeah, and the 100-foot buffer was literally just right along the front wall of the foundation.
Yeah, so we tucked it right in, as good as we could get it.
The elevation drop. By the way, my name's Mark Camo, I signed in, I'm the potential buyer and builder. But, yeah, we looked at those elevations, and it was a 14-foot drop in elevation from the top of foundation to the ground in front, the way it is now.
Right.
And if we were gonna be able to utilize the 65-foot, we'd have to grade to that to make that even somewhat feasible, but as far as grading goes, we wouldn't be able to do that either with the 100-foot no touch with the bog. We wouldn't be able to bring thousands of yards of fill in within the 100 feet anyway. So that, even if we move the foundation into that spot there, we still have the issue of all the work that needs to be done, because most of this earth was mined inside that 100-foot buffer. But the thing that's frustrating is as it sits right now, you could go out there with a bulldozer and have a party. You could build a dirt bike track, you could do whatever you want, because it's under farming right now. They could continue to mine it, continue to pillage it, and then just leave it there and move on to the next project. That's why I was, to his point, at least,
You'd help protect it
yeah.
by allowing him to have something feasible.
But anyway, to your point, obviously, we really can't go back inside there. We already know that's not gonna work. It'd be tens of thousands of dollars in retaining walls and everything else. It just makes it not a practical project.
Even rotating it 90 degrees counterclockwise and keeping 20% of it on the bog side of the 100-foot?
Right, it's the elevation drop in that area from the foundation towards the bog is just too strong. It's just too steep. It's not feasible, it's not practical.
And just for our information, the bog is still going to be harvested and owned by somebody else? Lot 3?
Correct, that would still be owned by
So
ADGA.
that still needs, access.
So is this lot still owned by ADGA? also?
Yes, this-
It still is owned by ADGA. So nobody's really out any money if this is not a viable site. I mean, ADGA has,
They're the ones that pillage the lot.
they're the ones that pillage the lot, so I
Yeah,
don't think
this-
it's I mean, it's not a hardship in any case.
No, it's not. And unfortunately, there's just
It's
some
just
lots
that
in
some
town that
lots
aren't
just aren't
buildable.
viable, like you said.
No, I guess engineering
I
costs.
mean, I have a hardship because I've spent significant money with these guys.
Right.
I don't know if that helps.
Well, yeah, I guess, yeah, I understand that, yeah, but, right.
Unfortunately, that's part of the game as far as
I understand.
getting it to this, to this level, to get us to even get it in front of us, you need to spend that money, so.
Correct.
Well, ADGA, in fairness, has actually done a lot to try to continue cranberry bogs, where it's feasible. They did some good work on the 58 bogs. I think, like I say, I think it's more difficult. It's easy for us to look at the outside and say, well, they can do whatever they want and they have the world as their oyster. But the fact is, farming is hard. It's hard work. It's hard numbers, and to make a go of it, you gotta commend somebody for doing that. Again, I think if this project, I think, does a few things. It number one, helps make the cranberry bog viable and can help fund it into the future, just like it did on the Route 58 bogs. Those bogs will be viable and good and clean and nice for 50 years to come. I think it allows a builder to clean up a site. It allows you to have control over it, where you have less control now with a farm pillaging. I think you have more control with a builder developing, and you're giving housing. So you're doing so many things by trying to make a project viable.
Why is on the north side of the property, why is the building envelope located, is that 50 feet?
95.
No, that's 95 feet.
Are you talking from the,
From the north property line.
It should be a 50-foot setback minimum from the property line to the rear building envelope line that we show as kind
Maybe
of like a
49.5.
yeah,
it says.
you got, it's not, I think,
95.1 is.
95.1 from the corner of the back of the house. The northernmost part of the house is 95.1 feet away from
Then
the
this scale, then something's wrong
That is,
with the scale.
What do you mean?
If 1 inch is 40 feet,
we have two viewports, so the scale on the right is.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
oh, okay, so 1 inch is 20
20
feet,
left.
all right.
Yeah,
Plus 20.
Okay, I see.
Again, this is gonna have to be continued, so in the interest
Yeah,
of
I
just
would think about
considering
going to
things.
zoning board of appeals maybe, or going to planning and getting a relief from the
We also don't want to waste any more money.
building envelope, I
doing
know.
Plans.
But it looks as though
It's not gonna
if,
happen.
if that building envelope was pushed closer to the northern border, the land flattens out up there, you build it closer to the top of the hill, as opposed to the bottom. Might be a longer driveway, but you won't have the issue with the foundation wall being that high. It's an option, we've said this at all of our meetings for the last 8 years. It's not this project, it's everyone that follows it. So we want to be consistent with our rulings on this, and we've been consistent with no more than 20% of the structure within the 100-foot buffer, particularly when it's a dwelling next to a cranberry bog, which brings up the secondary bylaw. So that's, I think, what we want to take a look at. I know, Dave, that you're even.
Well, I mean, I just think, I don't want to waste any more of their time.
Right,
Yeah,
we've granted
yeah.
variances
Yeah,
with
yeah,
80% of the building,
Yeah,
or 20% within. So, if we can get to that point, I think it's something that we can look at.
Pull it for a vote
But-
and see what happens, but, yeah.
Yeah, so we have to continue this anyway because we don't have a DEP number. Is this something we can look at for both of these? I mean, I will open the other hearing, but it's basically the same situation. So we'll open and continue that hearing as well in a minute. So I'll entertain a motion to, when do you think you can have new plans, Steve? Our next meeting is the 16th?
18th.
18th
Yep.
of June, and then the next one after that's the first Wednesday in July, which is the 2nd, I believe.
You can put us on for the 18th, whatever the next
Okay.
one.
Yep, 18th.
Okay, very good. So I'll entertain a motion to continue this hearing until Wednesday, June 18th.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All right, so moved and seconded to continue the hearing on Indian Street Lot 1 to June 18th. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. It's approved unanimously. All right, very quickly, I'm going to open the hearing on Indian Street Lot 2. We don't have a DEP number. This is a notice of intent. Notice is hereby given in accordance with the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act, MGL Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Carver Wetlands Protection Bylaw, Citation 9.2, that a public hearing will be held at 7:00 p.m. on Wednesday, June 4th, 2025, in Meeting Room Number 1 at the Carver Town Hall to hear the notice of intent submitted by White Pines Realty Trust to build a new single-family dwelling with septic system, retaining wall, well, water line, driveway, and associated grading within the 100-foot buffer zone to a bordering vegetated wetland, cranberry bog. This project is located at Lot 2, Indian Street, Carver, Massachusetts. Assessors map 92, Lot 2. All interested parties are invited to attend. We can take a quick look at the plan. You don't need 3.
No, I don't.
But it's really a mirror image. There was nothing that struck me on the other lot that differed greatly from, that needed any further scrutiny.
It's almost exactly a mirror image. Huh?
Yeah, I think that the one,
But this one has a retaining wall, the other one doesn't. That's the only difference, looks like.
yeah,
This has a lot more.
I think the one comment I'll say, obviously you can tell it's pretty similar. I think the slopes are even steeper on this one.
They are, yeah, we were out there, yeah, we noticed that.
No matter what we did, we needed significant retaining walls. And you can see this, I think we have 2 of them shown here, stretching, not too far off Indian Street, all the way along the side and over to the septic system. So it's very sizable retaining walls required, no matter how we configure anything there.
And what's the height of those retaining walls? Does it vary, or I guess?
Yep. So they do vary. I think we had at one point I think it was 6 or 7 feet tall. It does at the highest. I think most of it is between 3 and 4 feet, but it's going to vary as you move throughout the lot.
Makes sense.
This one actually has a portion of the driveway within the 65-foot down by the road.
yeah, that's from the bog across the street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's from actually the wetlands,
There's a wetlands over
There's a
there.
wet, yeah, the,
Yeah.
right a pond across the street.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's still tough, it's another tough one, I mean.
Yep. It's,
Well, I think the concerns are the same. You don't really have the luxury of the top of the hills as much here.
Yeah, it's really steep.
Yep, it is. But I'd like you to take a look and see what you can do. Okay? All right, so I'll entertain a motion to continue the hearing for Indian Street Lot 2 until Wednesday, June 18th.
so moved.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to continue the hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, it's approved unanimously. Thank you, gentlemen. See you in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
It's all different.
Yeah, they're all mixed up now. Sorry.
Okay. We'll do the minutes, and
Sorry.
then we'll, any topics not anticipated. Okay, let's do the minutes of May 7th first. There are three members of the board who were at that meeting, so we can have a vote to approve the minutes. Has everyone read them?
I read them the last time we got them, yes.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of May 7th as written.
So moved.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, and I have to abstain. I was not here, so it's 301. And I'll entertain, has everyone read the minutes of May 21st?
Give me 2 seconds.
I have to abstain anyway.
Yeah, this is pretty simple.
You can watch the video.
I did watch it.
The long roll.
I didn't sign it, though.
Oh. It's okay, we have enough.
Okay, I'm good.
All right,
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of May 21st,
Second.
2025.
Second.
all right, so moved and seconded to approve the minutes of May 21st. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Any opposed? Hearing none. One abstention. 301. Okay, any topics not reasonably anticipated by the chairman, just something that anyone driving down Lakeview Street would see is that our little house in the woods is now a house in the prairie. We have not had the lawn mowed on 44 Lakeview yet this year. I believe the gentleman who did it for us last year has relocated to Maine or New Hampshire.
That was my understanding, is that he moved, but he was still maintaining the property last year. But I haven't heard from him this year. I can reach out and see if he, still comes down this way. But yeah, I think it would
Seems
be.
like it's gonna be an unreliable source in the future, so maybe we should go on with somebody else.
Yeah.
Well, I think we
Probably the
could
best
talk
course.
about, we can put it on the next agenda. But I think that we should approach the town to see if that's something they can take care of. We meaning the Conservation Commission does own the lawn hog or whatever it's called.
Brush hog.
Brush hog.
Which apparently you're gonna need
I
now.
was gonna say,
It's in the DEP garage, but it's ours.
Okay, I was not aware of that.
Yes, we own it. It was purchased when we acquired the property, the conservation land off Savory Avenue, to create and maintain the trails that walk through there. So it's property of conservation in the possession of the town,
Okay.
but can be used for, any purpose. They can use it wherever they want it to, really, but it's ours. So I would see if we can investigate having them do it, and if not on an ongoing basis, can they do it once to get it down to manageable so that we can go out and bid for another vendor?
Because otherwise, the first bid's gonna be high, because
Yeah.
they have to
Right.
do a lot more work.
Who maintains the lawn for the, like where the pickleball courts are and?
Yeah, so
That's
that's
the town. So
a
we
recreation
can
property
do it at the same time.
down
The
there. That's the
DPW does.
beach,
DPW
and
does
then
that,
the Council on Aging.
Owns the rest of it.
So the town DPW manages both those
Right,
properties.
So maybe they could-
that's town-owned property, whereas the.
Well, it's actually, is it owned by the Council of Aging, or is it?
No, it's town.
It's
It's
just
town.
town.
Yeah, it's the town beach, it's the town tennis courts, it used to be the town tennis courts, COA.
And
But we are
the
kind of
44
town.
Lakeview is also owned by the town.
Yes,
But,
but-
Conservation Commission is the managing,
Right.
agency for it, but it's still town.
Right,
It's
there's
all
a-
town.
there's a gray area.
But I think that the thing is like conservation areas are supposed to be like managed by the conservation, through the Conservation Maintenance Fund, which, I think that's where like there's kind of a disconnect there, because there's all this money that we have to manage our land, but we don't have, staff or resources that actually, have that ability. but I think it would be, at least reasonable for them to mow DPW to mow it, and I'll certainly ask them if it's possible for them
Right, it
to
doesn't
at
have
least
to be
do
the whole
it.
thing, it's just, around
Can
the
we
house.
can we
Give them money.
give them money, basically
Transfer
move it to
money
their
to
account,
DPW?
rather than paying.
Can we pay the town to do it?
Well, I know other government agencies, they move
Yeah.
from one
DPW.
one pot to the next.
I will look into all those options, and I'll get back to you guys on what
Thank you.
my answers are.
I mean, we could draft a letter and I'll sign it or something, right? I mean, if you really needed to, right?
Yeah, I just don't know if it really needs to be that complicated. Like, this may just be something that DPW.
I think that we also need to, at some point in the near future, discuss the structure
Yep.
that's on the property and what we think are the best plans moving forward for that structure as a whole, as it entails the entire property.
What condition is that structure in? I've heard that it's not in good shape.
It's not in great shape.
It's-
It was being transformed into a duplex, kind of.
Yeah.
And one side is semi-livable. The other side is rafters and studs and not finished.
They
And
run out of money in the middle of it? Is that what happened?
Mice and chipmunks. You know what I mean?
yeah, it's
It's in bad
inhabited
shape.
by animals. I don't think they ran out of money. I think that they ran out of desire. Because it was gonna be a rental unit and it probably was not worth the effort.
Right.
And they wouldn't be able to get the return. I'm not 100% sure, but,
So ultimately, we're talking about demoing it.
Raising
right?
it.
well, I mean, it's a discussion that I think we need to have, and I think we need to have
Talk to the-
Emil talk to our town administrator, who and to our town planner, who Tombot did put together a committee to discuss the entire area, pickleball, parking, COA, our lot, with a plan going ahead for the future, and it was I was on that committee. The structure at 44 Lakeview was briefly mentioned, and Dan Badger was at that meeting, he was part of that, and he talked about his vision of education and classrooms and sustainable building. But I think that we really need to get the town administrator and town planner involved and talk about how real we think that is or could be. And
Sure.
then go from there.
Yep.
So I think that's something that we need to have on our agenda, at least to start a discussion next time. And
Yep.
then see what we want to do. Maybe invite Glenn here or Tom to one of our meetings to talk about it.
Sure.
I don't really know. I think that's a next step for that. Just one other thing I wanted to remind everybody, we talked about it a couple of months ago. Our meetings in July are on July 2nd and 23rd. So it's the 1st and 4th Wednesdays of the month. And then there are 5 Wednesdays in July. So their meeting after that will be the first Wednesday in August. So there'll be 2 weeks between those two. So instead of having a 3-week break at the end of July, we're going to put it in the middle of July, because I'm not available on the 16th, and I think then there's a possibility in,
Yeah, I'm gonna miss the second meeting in August. It's
And-
August 20th, I believe, so I won't be
Yep.
here for that.
and I
I'm gonna
won't
be
either, so we
yeah.
may just cancel it if we can't postpone anything that's, ask the applicants to go. I think we have 30 days anyway, right, to answer?
21 days for
21
permits.
days?
Yeah. So but it's something that people can waive that 21 days if they are willing to do that.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe we could do it if somebody really was in need, then we could do it.
Yeah,
I mean-
yeah. I mean, I won't be here. You guys can do this without me, I'm sure. At this
Right, and it
point.
would be, since we do have a new member,
We would have
there would be
4 of us. I mean,
four
we could-
people.
We could probably stumble through it if we had to.
Yeah.
I mean, if we
Yeah,
absolutely
you
had
could
to.
send us some,
Yeah.
Right, but just, bear in mind, we may
So
have
what's the July one? What are gonna be the dates then? What would they be?
July
second and
2nd.
23rd.
That will be the dates, okay.
Yes, the
Okay,
first
okay.
and fourth Wednesdays, not the
That's
first and
fine,
third.
okay, okay.
I have it on the
Yep,
calendar.
and that's been updated on our meeting
Second.
dates and deadlines, and that's on our website for
20.
everyone who's out there.
Right.
Looking at filing deadlines, that's on our website, so that should be
And in
pretty
August,
clear.
it's still gonna be the 6th.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, 6th and 20th.
And
Yep.
potential, and
It would potentially
And
schedule.
20th.
scheduled for the 20th,
It's
but,
questionable, yeah.
maybe,
Usually that time of year, we don't usually get a lot of stuff anyway, right?
right, and then we'd move it to the first
never
one
know.
in September.
But I'm willing to stumble through it if
4
you
weeks.
guys are.
Okay.
have to.
All right.
I want to talk one more thing.
Yes.
We were talking about the associate members, maybe, and should we discuss it now or
We can put it on the agenda to discuss.
next time?
Sure,
because
yeah,
it's
we
not-
can,
it's not an emergency type
Right,
thing,
yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah.
So get in people's minds though, maybe we want
Yeah,
to have
think about
associate members.
what we'd have to do, if we want to have associate members of this committee, of this commission. It would require a town meeting vote to
So we have to
change
put
it.
an
So
article, we'd have to put forth an article.
we'd have to put a citizens article, I guess, to do that.
I think
Or maybe,
it's
no, we could do
I
it
think
as a
we
commission.
could do it as a
We
commission,
we
yeah.
can do it as a commission.
I think that's a good idea, because if one of us would leave, if there was a vacant spot, the
Yes.
learning curve would be a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
I agree.
Exactly.
It would
There's
be
a lot to
great.
learn here.
Yeah.
There's a lot of rules and regulations that you wouldn't even think about, so.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Okay,
I spoke to Sarah Hewins about this just briefly today because we saw her in passing.
Yeah.
And she told me that originally the Conservation Commission was a 9-person board with 7 members and 2 associate members. Then they cut it down to 7 members. And then they cut it down to 5 members. And the reason they did that was because when you have a 7-member board, sometimes it's hard to get 5 people together for a quorum.
Right.
But the nice thing about having a 5-member board and 2 associate positions is you still have the 3-person quorum because there's only 3 voting members but you also have those 2 spaces for people who are, still learning how the public meeting works and how the regulations work. So it is really helpful. I started out as an associate member right out of college. I didn't know anything about wetlands regulations in my town, and that's where I learned like everything about how to be a conservation commissioner and how things work with environmental permitting in Massachusetts, because it's not like, just because I have an environmental science degree doesn't qualify me to, do this kind of work, because it's like you have to learn a whole another set of regulations. So I think it is really helpful to have those positions for people to
Could
learn.
those people vote if somebody's not here?
Yeah, so if there's
Yeah.
people who are missing from the like 5 full members, those people can step up and be members and voting members for that
right,
meeting.
but
So-
on anything that was continued,
Yep.
they would have had to have been in
Had
the
to
original
been
meeting.
originally.
Right,
Yep,
they would-
but it really does allow for some more flexibility, and yeah, there's not really any downsides to having a 5-member board with 2 associates.
I think that's a great idea.
And also, I think that at our next meeting, do we need to reorganize?
I was going to mention that I think it would be good, before the new fiscal year to do a reorganization.
Okay, July.
It should be the first meeting in July, right?
We can do it then.
Well, yeah, I think
Well, then
doing
we'll
it.
have our 5th member will be seated at the time, too.
Yeah,
Okay.
whichever way you guys want to do it.
Let's do it July 2nd.
July 2nd. Okay, sure.
That's generally, I think, how it's done after the first meeting of the new fiscal year.
Okay. Very
That's
good.
when the
Anything
appoint-
else?
That's when the new appointments take effect, so.
Right. Yeah, but I mean, Ann said that based on the meeting last night, that this person was fulfilling Curtis's
Was
seat.
Curtis up this year?
No, Curtis.
He quit.
did-
No, I know, but was his term expiring this
I
year
don't
or
know.
next
No,
year?
it wasn't.
Because mine just expired.
So
just
they're,
now.
that's right, so that new
Yeah.
person is just gonna fill his remaining term.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Like I did
13
for Dan.
13 months, so
He came a
she
year
could have
after
started
me.
tonight.
Right.
So-
Curtis was here 2 years, I think. 2 or
Yeah.
3.
Well, yeah. All right, anything else, anybody?
No.
All right,
No,
motion to
good.
adjourn?
So moved.
Second? All right, moved and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Thank you, Area 58.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to sign those things.